Little Monsters is a new sort of horror comedy film from Australia. Stars Josh Gad and a lady from Black Panther whose name I can't probably do justice, so I'll just put it up at the bottom. It follows a infant school class that go to a farm to see a children's entertainer played by Josh Gad, and the farm happens to be next to a US military base that's doing experiments on zombies. There's never really any detailed backstory on that. It's just some sort of regeneration project, and they have an outbreak, and that then passes over to the farm as the zombies sort of shuffle their way over there. I'm not sure why it has to be a US military base in Australia. It's definitely in Australia, there's no issue with that. But I suppose just for conventions it has to be in Australia. And it has to be called a US military base. Don't know. Either way, the zombies escape, and the infants class, led by their teacher and one of the kids' uncles, who we see from the start of the film has been dumped by his partner due to being sort of childish and irresponsible. They have to try and save the children and keep them safe until help can come. It's an enjoyable film. It knows that it's, you know, a silly premise, and the actors, including the children, are all really good in it. You know, for little kids, they're cute, and that carries them through for a bit. But they've also, you know, got good reactions, and the way the children act and react. Bar one scene where some kids throw in a wobbly towards the end. They all sort of act as you might expect these children to act. They've got their little huggy toys they like hugging and that. They've got their little backpacks and things. The only thing that gets a little bit annoying throughout the film is the way the teacher constantly keeps up this premise that it's all sort of like everything's okay, and she's singing songs and trying to keep the kids happy. I think that probably needed to be dropped about 3/4 of the way through in order to take the sort of watcher along with the reality of the situation. Even though it is a sort of absurd situation, you still need to sort of break that element a little bit. But ultimately, we watched it on a Saturday night. It was enjoyable. There was no sort of issue with it. I say it's a kind of film that, as long as you're not looking for some hardcore horror film and you're happy to accept that this is a fun, enjoyable watch, then I think it's one that's worth, you know, checking out when it pops up on an individual streaming service. I think it's currently on Hulu. There's good gore in it, there's good effects. They obviously cut from scenes where they don't want to show certain fights or certain horror effects, and you go, okay, fine, that might well be due to budget. And you are rooting for them towards the end of the film. You know, I just felt like, I'm glad I watched it. It wasn't one of these zombie films that just gets churned out now, that is just the same old crap being put out there, and it was worth checking out. Josh Gad's good in it, but I don't think he's the sort of main selling point for it, even though he seemed to be mentioned in a lot of the publicity, because obviously he's got a bit of a name. It's just an enjoyable, sort of well curated, and you can tell there's a film with a lot of heart in it. So yeah, Little Monsters, definitely worth having a look at if you want something a bit lighter and more enjoyable to watch, but still want those sort of horror elements in it. Oh, by the way, it's not suitable for kids, basically. Certainly not little kids, because of the level of gore and, you know, violence in it. Oh, I don't know if it's a reference or not in it, but the teacher uses a spade to fight the zombies with. Obviously, if you're a fan of the genre and you've read or listened to the audiobook of World War Z, you'll know that that's a weapon that the chap in Japan uses and essentially makes his own martial art out of for fighting zombies when he's blind and lost in the woods. So I thought, oh, that was nice. But even if it's not a reference, I liked it, and I like to think of it as a reference. So if you think there's anything else about this you want to mention, or you've got your own views on it, please feel free to like and subscribe and stick a comment down below. Thanks.